All right. Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, May 29th, coming into the end of the month here. NASDAQ, big gap higher this morning, gapping up and out of the near term range, potentially a near term range breakout in the works. That's what we're going to be looking at for today. We want to see whether or not buyers can show acceptance outside of the near term range, pretty much confirming the breakout. And for that, pretty simple. We want to see if this breakout point right through here is going to be holding. The 21,500 by 21,560. That's kind of the main area to be focused on and watching for today. And essentially, we're looking to see, if the selling activity that started from about 21,850 continues into the 500 area. We just want to see our buyers going to step in and defend that point. That would be the expected move. If they end up failing right through here and we see price back within that near term range, that tells us that we have what? What is that going to be? That's going to be a failed breakout. That will be a failed breakout. And if that is the scenario that happens, of course, you want to be cautious with any long setups beneath 21,500. So, what I'll be looking at off the open, given this little bounce that we have here during the overnight session, is how price responds to 21,700. If we take a look at kind of the fib from just the overnight session, let's drop down to the 30-minute chart. So this should be the start of last night's session. Yeah, right through there. Basically right through there. And up into the overnight high. Look at it like that. Or right into that fib buy zone, right? So not all that surprising to see some buyers step in here on the retracement. These are just going to be, as always, fib is just going to be a reference point, right? So keep an eye on that this morning into the open. But ultimately, I want to see if buyers can show that push back up and through 700, back up and through 700, revisit the overnight high. If not, again, I'll be looking at the reaction down through here. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Yesterday morning, pretty slow. Pretty slow outside of those. We basically had two moves off the open. You have the opening drive and then the short setup versus last week's high in that resistance zone. Price kind of sets up an up thrust right through there, right? And it look at the rest. Look at the rest of this action. Just chop, 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 chop. All through here. Drift. Not a lot to do through there. Now we did end up seeing that test of 400. So if you were in yesterday's live stream, I was talking about that 21,400. That actually offered a phenomenal long setup if you were at the desk and quick enough to catch it. That was really solid. Right back up into 500. Nice two level to level moves. You have 500 rejected, 400 getting bought, and then rejected again. So technically three. So the close offered some decent action. And then with NVIDIA earnings, we saw NQ catch a little bit of a bounce. And then that continued during the overnight sesh with some news as well. So here we are, 21,680-ish, 21,675. That initial move is lower. Coming into probably down through that 61% fib now. Let's take a look. Yeah, we'll see 560. Pretty much hands off till then, personally. Hands off. Overnight low down at 489. And we're getting right into prior day high already. Check out the gap visual. Look at that. Not sure what's going on with my indicator here that shows prior day high. It keeps reloading. There it is. 567 prior day high. So almost into that prior day high. 21,567. Intraday fib. So buyers kind of front ran that prior day high a little bit. All good, Dom. Good to see you. Sorry, the truck got broken into. NQ, we're looking at the reaction here, prior day high, 567. My indicator keeps glitching out. That's no fun. Let's see. I'll have to look at that later. Good volume this morning. NQ new low of day. Couple points shy of the prior day high now, and then we get into last week's high and right into that key zone, key higher time frame zone. Staying patient. Staying patient here. Got the rejection at 700 overnight, and then a little bit of an over opening drive trade, and now back in a prior day high. Check the gap. No issue. No issue. That's the it's that higher time frame zone. There it is. NQ new low of day. Almost into 21,500. What's our low? 21,535. Nasdaq, there's a retest of prior day high. Staying patient right now. Don't really want to fade this pre 10 a.m. directional weakness until we see some real strength step in. So still cash. No trades taken yet. NQ working its way into 500. Session low at 517. Overnight low is just beneath that 500 at 489. Almost into that 500. Remember, beneath acceptance, beneath 500 is failed breakout. There's your true test of 500. See if buyers have any interest there. So far, no. So far, there's a gap and crap. Look at that. The old gap and crapola. Down through 21,500. Should be overnight low coming up. Yeah, there's the little blip beneath overnight low. 489. Check that volume. Volume's looking good. Good volume. Looks like ES is into 59.25. A little bounce so far. Undercut of the overnight low holds with a reclaim of the level of interest. Start to bring that intraday fib back into the picture. It's not bad, not bad, not bad. Buyers really need a reclaim of that prior day high if this thing is going to stick. Wow, this morning's flying. 6 minutes till 10 a.m. Pretty nice little intraday reversal so far. Right where you would expect it anyway. Undercut that overnight low with the level of interest right through there. See if 550 can trade. 550, 560 area would be great. Trim a little more right there. Solid. Yeah, Ray, just us. Well, it's leaf blower Thursday, so I don't blame him. I don't blame him. It's one of the worst days of the week. NQ getting back up into 560. It's last week's high. You got the prior day high right there as well. Like to trim a little more into 560 if I can. There we go. Very nice. Yeah, we'll see if the trail gets taken right here. 521, they can have it. There it is, trailed out. Back to cash. Look at that, man. The levels are just dialed in. Right into 560 and sellers reload. Reloaded. NQ back into session low. We have data in about 2.5 minutes. I'll probably just stay cash here till post data. Got a nice trade there. That's a decent one. If this sets up a higher low, I'm just gonna let it go. Just let that go. I'm all good. Missed the TP by 0.5, man. I hate that. Sometimes it can be beneficial to front run it a little bit, point or two, especially if it's like a major level. Oh, that was the front run? Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. That's how it goes sometimes. That's just how it goes, man. What can we do besides laugh a little? Chalk it up to the game. Let's see, we got data in 30 seconds. And data in a few seconds here. More of a minor print, but as always, there's your data print. There's 10 a.m. They're still right here. 21,500 stays on watch. You got the overnight low right in this area. For some reason, my normal indicator that shows the reference points is not. There it is. Must be glitching out. And it's gone. It is gone. Overnight low, 489. Hard lines never fail. True. That is true. He's got a point. But it does save me about 10 minutes every morning. So there is also that. See how that 5 minutes looking. So 21,500 stays on watch. Love the volume this morning. That's what we like to see with some volume. Real activity, real movement, some good volatility. NQ back in at 21,500. Session low. What's our session low? 485. Let's see what the rest of the indices are doing. Russell looking a little slow. YM, not a lot happening there either. See, ES, you had a pretty nice bounce from the 59.25. Now just kind of in no man's land. And NQ coming into session low. There's your new low of day, NASDAQ. So beneath this blue zone here, caution warranted on any longs, like we talked about ahead of the bell. There's the potential for a failed breakout here. There we go, pressing the lows, pressing the lows. Gap fill way down there at 400. Not too far away at this point, but see how that 400 is going to be treated. Won't be in a rush down there personally for new positions. Need some higher time frame confirmation now. All right, not too far off of 400. 25 points away. Technically, gap fills at 380, not 400. But we're getting pretty close here. Right back into that near-term range. Right back into it. Let's see the daily. Yeah, that daily bar still very early in the day, but that's not looking so good there. It's a big higher time frame up thrust. Keep an eye on that today into the close. There's 400. ES down and through 5925. There's YM finally making session lows. Russell as well. So far, it's just been the one trade for me this morning, the long versus 21,500. I'll keep an eye on the gap fill in 21,400, but like I said, not in a big rush for fresh longs given the higher time frame failed breakout that is currently underway. The old Wall Street adage is from failed moves comes fast moves. It's like the basis of a spring setup or an up thrust. Get the failure. Remember the spring from last Friday? Same kind of idea, just inverted. There's your new low of day, true test at 21,400, and that overnight gap almost filled. A little consolidation here near 21,400, at least on the 1 minute. Great volume, still a really good volume, higher than average. Decent little bounce there. Took a little scalp opportunity. Just trading the structure, already out of it. Don't want to overstay my welcome in those. Where's our shallow fib? 462. Yeah, 5 minutes stays on watch, definitely. ES bumping into 5925. It's a decent little bounce from the level of interest, kind of aggressive, but not bad, not bad, not bad. Location makes all the difference. Tell you that. Yeah, a couple 40-point scalps will keep the lights on for sure. That's for sure. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Short lived, back in a 400 now. NQ, new low of day, not quite, not quite, not quite. There you go. New low of day for the old NASDAQ. Overnight gap just about filled here. I think it was 380 we said. Yeah, 380. So that's the gap fill. How's everyone's morning so far? How we doing? I know Ray is green. Know that. Know that for sure. Right now, we're just keeping an eye on the 400. 400 and a gap fill spot. See if buyers have any appetite for risk here, or if sellers are going to take us into the lower portion of that near-term range. That's kind of what I would expect given failed breakout move. But ultimately, just let price tell you what it wants to do. Simple as that. Simple as that. There's your new low of day. Is that the true gap fill? Yeah. All right, gap has been completely filled. Looks like literally to the tick. So this is an area that stays on watch. This area fails. You got prior day low as a reference point, and then the 300 level of interest, which is more of a mid-range level of interest. Yeah, mid-range there at the 21,300. Interesting to see all the volume from this structure is up here in the 450 area. It's a little unusual. Buyers definitely trying here. They're trying. Love how well that 21,850 was respected. Overnight sesh rejection there. Failure at 700. Retest and reject a 700. Check out this 15-minute bar. Let's see how it closes in 4 minutes. 4 more minutes. Do we get a hammer? Do we get the hamski? Ray, check out the main chat. Right there with you. There's the top of that little structure. Let's take a look. Shallow fib. See if we get a little break here. A little break of the 450. Go for 500. So we get the overnight gap completely filled with the level of interest right through there as well. Buyers like that spot, at least so far. Five-minute is looking better. Show me that 15. Let me see that 15-minute. Yeah, 15-minute. I mean, we still have we still have 1 minute, but that's definitely a hammer currently. The old hamski. Trails 421. I'm at 445 on that one. All right, 15-minute closes as a hammer. Question is now, can buyers show some follow through on that candle? The challenge here is that resistance in the 500, 560 zone. A retest of 500 would definitely give us some more clues. About 1 hour into the sesh. 440 now. Nice hold, Ben. Very nice. Oh no, Chrissy. Oh boy. Oh geez. Oh man. So if you have any longs from lower, you want to start thinking about lifting that trail and trimming some off into 500. It's an area where sellers will likely attempt to reload. $452. Nice. Just following the structure. Good stuff. Good stuff, man. That's what we like to see. Pretty good morning so far. Good technical action. Gotta love it. Ray trailed. Process always wins. Always, always. Expiry volume point of control right there. 466. All right, have a good day, man. Nicely done this morning. Nicely done. I don't think you beat me actually. Hang on. Hang on. I don't hang on. I'm gonna have to check the timestamps again. Sup, Dom? Yeah, better luck next time, Ray. Better luck next time, my friend. Yeah, potential failed breakout underway, Dom. We'll see. The day is young, as you know. The day is quite young. Not doing much here given current location. We had the long versus 500. We had the long versus 400. Now we're chilling. Now we are chilling. Yeah, 11 a.m. move definitely possible. Let's see. Coming up 20 minutes. I'm most interested right now in just seeing how price responds to 500. It should give us some good clues. As of right now, there's all no man's land. Let's take a look at ES. Jump over to S&P. So 5925 right there. Level of interest. Yeah, tricky spot here on ES as well. A lot of no man's land churn here. Priority volume point of control kind of keeping a lid on things right now. Potential base being built at 400. Yeah, let's see. Let's see how this continues to develop. Volume's still solid. Not a single red bar for the sesh. So that's great as far as volume is concerned, or relative volume anyway. Okay, Nasdaq getting back up into these local highs right here. Again, the main focus is how price responds to 21,500. So NASDAQ just kind of bumping into this area right here. I believe that's prior day volume point of control. There you go. Nice little push. Ten minutes till 11 a.m. So we'll see that reaction into 21,500 at 11 a.m. See what we can do there. Daily close above that zone is still within the realm of possibilities. There's a lot of day left. We shall see. As always, no crystal ball. As always. All right, it's getting more and more interesting here. 21,500 reaction here is main focus. Nice 100-point bounce off of the low. Pretty nice bounce. Pretty nice bounce. Gap and crap hits target down into the gap fill, and buyers just back in this thing. Right back in this thing. Let's see how the 500 is going to be treated. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see. Five minutes till 11 a.m. Nice uptick in volume here on the test of 500. %50 fib is your next upside reference point. That's what is that? 530? Getting into that 50% fib. How's everyone's morning? Anyone still riding that long? I bet Benny's still in that thing. Benny, you in here? Waiting to see if we got anything at 11. Dom, let's see. 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Fib sell zone right overhead with a major higher time frame pivot. If sellers can't show up here, then it's over. It's over for sellers. Remember yesterday we discussed their sellers, speaking of sellers, their inability to really show that complete move into 400. And now today, so far anyway, unable to show any sort of continuation on a failed breakout. Not really a great sign for sellers. Not really a great sign for bears. The bears. It's still all resistance, so let's see. Look at that hourly bar. Hamsky. Defending the top of the range, yeah. And the near term kind of structure here following Friday's spring, we just have a series of higher lows still. That's why prior day low is pretty important, but it's not been taken out yet. I mean, sellers could not even get us below 400. This is still the critical zone though, right through here. So I'm curious to see if this 500 is going to hold. Back beneath, a little blip beneath 500 there. There's that 11 a.m. move. Coming in. A little rejection there. Back into that intraday structure point. Check out volume. Volume's still solid. Watching 500 here. 21, 500. Reaction at 500. What's up, Strong? Got ES sitting right on 5925. Level of interest. Appreciate that, man. All right, a little micro lower high there at 21, 500. So if we see a bigger rejection here, the question will be whether sellers can flush the low. Can they flush the 400 and then into the close? Ideally, what they're looking for is a close on the low, on or near the low. Well, it's pretty much going to be a wrap for me here shortly. Sticking around because volume is still solid. Still have really good volume. 2 to 3x R vol here in NASDAQ. Look how well price is respecting that intraday structure point there. Previous resistance, that's what we had drawn this blue line on. Get the little break above right here, 1048, little consolidation, push higher, and then price comes and retests that point. Structure is undefeated. No position, just an observation. Session volume point of control right there, 520. It's definitely noteworthy. If I do say so myself. Session volume point of control just shifted a tad lower, now into 506. Just a battle here at the 500. Fight for price. ES 5925. YM has just gotten quite choppy. If you like to trade the Dow. There we go. Some sellers stepping in now. Couple of lower highs there at 500. That's pretty much no man's land for me. Getting into there, so I'll keep an eye on 21,400. See the reaction down here for potential longs if buyers step in, or ideally, what I like to see is some break of this most recent pivot right through there, and then a retest into 500. This blue area though is still all higher time frame resistance right through here. So you got to be cautious with longs. Anywhere in there, still, if price holds below 500, we're still working with the failed breakout idea on the higher time frames. Failed breakout. That hourly bar showed, at least so far, no follow through. You did have a nice hammer there, but a hammer without follow through is pretty useless. Pretty useless. Can I get 400 today, Don? I mean, we're not that far away now, especially with this volume. It's good volume. Let's just take a look at the recent bounce from Friday's low. Price will tell me everything I need to know. Yes, sir. So if you throw the fib from Friday's low into this morning's high, currently trading against the 38% retracement, the 50% is right there at 21,300. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it there. This is all no man's land for me. Can't do anything through here. We do have prior day volume point of control as a reference point in this area, but my preference right now is to set risk against levels of interest. I'll keep watching so long as the volume stays elevated. That's my main criteria for late morning trades. Volume and then good location. But a couple of nice setups today. Initially, we did the long versus 500 and then tried it again down through here, another long setup. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Can't complain. Can't complain. So, hope you guys had a good morning. We'll keep it going in the Traders Think Tank. That was a wrap on the stream. Simple day, yes, sir. We love the simplicity. Absolutely.